Five Nights at Freddy's has been growing as a franchise, releasing new pieces of content every year. From new games to new books and a sequel movie coming in the near future, its community keeps increasing as the crazy hype for its new releases and growth within the depths of its lore continue to enlarge. Though, how do newcomers get themselves into Five Nights at Freddy's?
Does Josh Hutcherson know the FNAF lore? Piper Rubio, who plays my little sister in Five Nights, she is hardcore fanatic, and last time I saw her, she gave me like a 2-hour breakdown of like the lore of every game with the characters who come in and they go, and then this character is there because of this and that. But it was a lot to retain, and I didn't retain it.
When people were hyped about the first movie, their main way of entry is through the FNAF timeline to understand the lore before watching its first-length film. But the timeline is very subjective and can be interpreted in many ways. Not to mention the evolution of the lore itself and how the FNAF franchise has grown alongside its storytelling. And how the storytelling conflicts with the way that the timelines are presented.
It's great. It is a clean narrative. There is just one problem: timing. Mike's quest can't really start until he's been down to sister location, seen baby, and gotten himself scooped. That's when he finds out about Afton's secret life. It's also when he's gonna start to smell because, he's a walking, talking, rotting corpse. And we know that he's not going down into the bunker until the Funtime animatronics have been made, Freddy's has been closed, and Afton is out of the picture. That all should be happening post-1993, after William is sealed behind a wall. But that then presents us with a few problems. Afton has already dismantled the original animatronics as we see in the FNAF 3 minigames. How are those things getting burned if they're already deconstructed? But more importantly, we see FNAF 2 paychecks with the date 1987. That is way earlier than I think it can be.
This whole experience just gets extra fascinating whenever there is an extra explanation of doubt. It's like, oh, look at all this. Doesn't this all make sense? Yes, I've been following. I gotcha. I'm on board. And then, hey, also, here's this thing that we don't really have an answer for and doesn't make sense, but like, just thought we'd mention it. I don't. It's wild how up in the air so many things are and how open for interpretation so many things are.
The retcons, the inconsistency, what is shown in the games or books, what is not shown in the games or book. The series is filled with many specific details while keeping itself vague and misconstruous. While there are videos talking about the specific aspect of it, it is mainly suggested towards the longtime fans of the series who've understood the problems that have gone through during the FNAF's growth, and not for newcomers to be welcomed to the series. And there are people instead binging on all of Game Theory's videos, though for any new normie who wants to binge on hours of theory crafting, that can be out of interest for them. What I'd believe to be best is to provide some sort of encyclopedia on the lore and the characters themselves, like a superhero rogues gallery. Speaking on behalf of comics, while there is a full timeline and great lore derived within 80 years of comic books, they aren't within the main focus of the heroes and villains themselves. For they are characters with roles and backstory and gadgets, and with different variations and interpretations of themselves, just like the characters of Five Nights at Freddy's. While I do see a reason and even some satisfaction with having a coherent timeline, believe me, I loved watching other timeline videos on other fandoms. It just isn't possible with the amount of information laid hidden, and the fact that creator Scott Cawthon can add more weird sci-fi factors in a world that was already built grounded in our reality, and can make the timeline more dated or less coherent to the new stuff. Back on encyclopedic videos, there are already many different ones talking about the specific aspects in a retrospective light, showing the evolution of the characters and their different renditions, alongside ways the lore has been shown to the audience as an expression of the series' storytelling. As a FNAF fan myself, I would highly recommend them as a way to get into the franchise. And I would rather live where the love of Five Nights at Freddy's doesn't come from some long-winded, biasly driven version of the story, but the way the characters and stories have been shown in according to how the games have displayed them. After all, it is a horror series, and it's better for the mysteries to be shown the way that they are shown than the way that they are perceived as.